Alright, this is Scott at Scott's Garage here in Bellingham, Washington. This picture is of my dad trying to cross the river in Deming, Washington. And here I am with my car up at Walker Valley, just parked there for the picture. And this next one, this is my, what do you call that thing? I'm really good at this, aren't I? Well, good morning. This is Scott in Washington State, northwest corner of the United States. I'm going to show you a little bit of what I do here in the shop. I build lift kits for the SGR brand lift kits for Subarus. And I also do my own projects, off-road buggies, little go-karts, race cars, little things like that. So I'm bolting parts onto a jig and going to be making rear trailing arms for the 2000 to 2004 Legacy format, which is also the Baja format. So this chunk of car I'm using is, I think it was like a 2001 Legacy that I brought into the shop years ago. And I chopped the part off, and this is my jig I use. And the bolts are extra long because I use them to make all the different lengths of lift kits. So this same jig will make the 2-inch, the 4-inch, the 6-inch trailing arms. So that's what I'm doing here. Sometimes the parts need custom fit. So I'll tack them up and unbolt them and then finish welding them. I'm using a Lincoln MIG welder with 035 wire with argon CO2 mix for the gas. And here we are welding them up. Okay, now we're working on the front and rear. Oh, actually, this is the rear strut extensions. These are the tubes that go between the plates. The top plate mounts to the car, and the bottom plate mounts to the strut. And so here I am welding those up. It's amazing how fast I work. And now onto the front. The front strut extensions. This kit I'm making is a 2-inch. This fits the 2000 to the 2004 Legacy format and the Baja. So that's what we got here. So I pulled the motor off this Craftsman lawnmower, and I got it up on the bench now. Here's the motor off that mower, and it's hard to see, but back in there, the case is cracked, it's leaking oil. So we're gonna flip this over, tear it apart. Here's that engine I took off that Craftsman out there. It's a 21 horse, single cylinder Briggs. It only turns over about, I don't know, a quarter of a turn. And I noticed that on the case is split open. So it looks like maybe the rod broke and pushed against the case. So we're gonna tear into this thing and find out what we got going. See what's in there. And you're coming along for the ride. Oh yeah, I gotta love that. A lot of times these just won't come off, especially on an older mower. I get a puller on them, and sometimes you bend the pulley. Look at that. Comes right off. This mower isn't that old. I'm not sure how old it is, but it's not that old. I actually have two of these motors. I'm hoping I could get one fixed from parts for both. So I'm not sure what's wrong with the other one. The other one turns over. I think the other one's got a bad cam. So this has a bad crank and a good cam. And then maybe, just maybe, pull the cam from this and put it in the other one. Either way, I probably got, I don't know, 5 or 6 of these motors, different variants, and this is what I'm going to run. Running the three mini race cars. My philosophy behind running this motor is it's a throwaway motor. Nobody wants it. So that makes it the best motor. Why? Because the parts are easy to get. And if I work within the limits of the motor, that would be the RPM. Keep the RPM down so the crank won't fly apart. So we'll play with a couple of these and see what we can do. That's my goal this summer, is to, I don't know if you can see it, but I got one of the buggies, one of the cars right there. That one has the same motor. Well, it's not the same. It's the older version of this motor. That one, this one says 21 horse. And that one's saying 16. So I'm not sure how big they got these. I think 21's about where they ended up. But it's about a 540 cubic centimeter engine. So it's a good sized motor. The same motor I have on my lawnmower for my yard, and it's actually the same mower, 21 horse Craftsman. And that one I got from my nephew, 2 years ago. And the beginning of last summer, I tore it apart and put a new cam in it. What happens in these single cylinder Briggs motors is they have a little compression release, little arm, little thing that spins. Well, it doesn't spin, it turns. It has a counterbalance with all weight on it. and what happens is that system falls apart and breaks. So if you have one of these single cylinder Briggs motors and it gets to where it's hard starting and then it just won't start, you know, it's like acts like the battery's dead. It just might be the cam. Very common. And you can figure that out by pulling the valve cover off, and what it does on the compression stroke, it relieves the one valve just a tad, just for just a very moment. And what that does is relieves enough compression so that the starter could start this big motor. So if you have one that's just hard starting, or it gets to where you think the battery's dead, it might be the cam. Okay, what are we gonna find in here? What's in the secret compartment? What do we got in here? Well, there is a bunch of metal in the bottom. Bunch of chunks. Oh wow. I'll have to show you that. Everything is chopped up. Yeah. Look at that. Okay, what do we got in here? Looks like the cam is crooked. Looks like there's a chunk of rod cap or something right there. We got here a whole bunch of parts laying down in there. All sorts of parts. And there's nothing on the crank. And then in that hole there looks like there's a chunk of connector. Oh, look at that. See the bottom of the piston. It's not hooked to anything. Just got a chunk of rod. Yeah, this is that free mower I picked up at the dump. And wow, looks like that's had fun. It's bent. A nice bend in it. It's missing the compression pieces. Oh yeah, here we go. It's like a kit. So there's part of the rod, cap, and the rod there. It's full of pieces. So I'm gonna say that this is not a good donor for lower end parts. Everything's marred up and chewed up. Top end's probably good. And so I think what I'm gonna do, yeah, the case is even broken. Yeah, where the cam rides down there, it's broken. So I'm going to put the cover back on, and if I need any top end parts, starter or flywheel parts, carburation, this will be a parts engine for other motors. I've never seen something just so tore apart like this in a mower engine anyway. So anyway, there you have it. I think I'll keep this piece out and put the cover back on. All right, next one up is a little older Craftsman. Got a similar motor. I know the head and stuff is similar, and it's got the oil filter on it. I'm thinking it's the same motor, but I don't know. I'll figure that out though. But anyway, that one's coming off. This one, I don't know much about it. It's just been sitting. Something froze up on the rear, probably brakes. And this one turns over, so that's good. So that one's coming off, and we'll see what we got with that one. Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. Okay, here's the prototype mini dirt racer I built over the last summer and finished it up during this winter. And I'm making 2 more off of it. I'll be making 3 of these, and they'll have the big lawnmower engine on it. This is the prototype, and the other 2 are a little different. It's got a little gearbox on it, so it'll have forward and reverse, and has automatic clutch underneath.